Hello everyone, welcome to our video tutorial about tables. And to access tables in Microsoft Office Word, we do it by going to the Insert tab. So we can click on Insert tab. Then under the Insert tab, we see Tables Group. So we click on this option for tables. When we click on that option for tables, we see this menu displayed for us. So let's look at the definition of a table. We are saying a table is a grid of cells arranged in rows and columns. Let's use this picture or the menu. So from this menu, when I move my pointer downwards, as we can view it, this is what we are calling a column. Then if I move this mouse horizontally, then this is what we are calling a row. So now let us see practically. Now if you move our pointer on this the diagram squares and we point, right now it is showing you have got 2 columns and 2 rows. If you continue moving, it shows you have got 2 columns and the 3 rows. Now when you move on this diagram square, you see the table on your document, but this table is not yet inserted. So that's what we call a live preview. So the live preview gives you the would-be number of columns and rows. Now if we decide and say we want it to appear like that, that means we shall click. When we click on this number of columns and rows that we have, it will be inserted as a table in your document and in the position of your cursor. So we can click once. So when we click once, you can see now our table is inserted at the position of our cursor. Now we can see that our tab automatically changes to the Design tab. This is because the cursor is inside this table that was inserted. So this was one way how we can insert a table in a document. Let's go back to the Insert tab once more. We click so that we can see another way of inserting tables in the document. So from the Insert tab, we shall still go to Table option. From the table option, we now want to insert another table using another option. Now, unfortunately, our cursor is still inside our table that we had inserted. That's why this live preview is also showing us that we shall insert this table inside the table. So that means we have to go back and then we remove this cursor from this table. To do that, click outside this table. You can double click if it fails to work. So when you double click, the cursor is inserted below there. Now we have our cursor inserted below, but we can press on the enter key so that we create space. So when you press on the enter key, we have more space to separate this table from the one we are going to insert. Now we can go back to our table option. Then this time round, we are going to use this option for insert table. We click once. After clicking, we have this menu. We call it the Insert Table menu or the dialog box. From this dialog box, it is talking of table size. Then under table size, we are going to specify the number of columns we want and also the number of rows that we want. By default, this program gives you 5 and 2. So we can decide to change and we say we want our columns to be 4 if you click on this arrow pointing down, or this one to increase. So let's make it 4, and the number of rows, you can say we also want it to be 4, so we click to increase. After doing that, we expect to see 4 columns and 4 rows. When you're done, we move and click on OK. So when we click on OK, the table will be inserted as you have instructed the program from the other dialog box. Now we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 columns, and then we have the rows also there 4. So these are the two ways how we can insert tables in the document. However, you can go ahead and try the other options. Now we have got our tables inserted. Now we want to see whether it is possible to insert information or text inside these cells in the tables. Now to do that, let's use this last table that we have inserted. So to insert any information, you make sure the cursor is in the cell. Right now we already have our cursor inside this cell. So that means we shall just type in the text we want. The first one is name. So we shall type name from our keyboard. After typing name, we have now to move this cursor to the next cell. We can do that by clicking, or we can use on our keyboard, we have the tab key. You can look on your left hand side just above the caps lock key, you press. So when you press, the cursor goes to the next cell. Our next word is age. So you type age. After typing age, we can also continue and press on the tab key. So we press once. When you press, the cursor also goes to the next cell. And now we have the last one, we are typing class. So we are done with inserting the information. If you want also to continue inserting on this one, you can still press the tab key and the cursor will go to that next cell. So now we have typed in all the information that we wanted, but I think we saw that whenever we are typing these column names, we are doing them in small letters. Then automatically they are changed to capital letters for the first letters. That is what we call the autocorrect feature. Then maybe you would feel you wanted to make changes to this column for class. You wanted to type classes, and now we have typed only class. How can I access that? You move your cursor and go to that very cell. Then you left click once in the cell. So when you left click once in the cell, then this cursor is inserted in that very cell. So there you can type, you add ES to make it classes. So also maybe we want now to type the names, then you will come below with your cursor, you click to insert this cursor in that position where you would like to put the information. Then from there you can go ahead and type the text or the information you want. Now that we have our column names, let's now enter the information. We start with names. Click inside that column for name, then we type John as the first name. Then we are going to use the tab key to insert age. So we put 12 for John, then press the tab key to insert class, and we are saying John is in S1. We can now go under name, we add one more person, and that's Ruth. This time let me use the mouse piece to insert our insertion pointer. I've clicked once. Now we can type Ruth, then press the tab key, then we give Ruth is 14 years, and Ruth is in senior. We click in class column, she's in senior 2. Now you can see it is possible to insert text and also to insert numbers in a table that you have in your document. Now we would like to show you how we can delete maybe the columns or the rows. To start, let's go to this column. First thing is to make sure we select this column, and to do that we are moving our cursor just above the column, and if you see that arrow pointing down, it is bold, then you click. The arrow helps you to select the entire column, so you click once. After clicking, you're going to move your pointer in that selected area and right click, do not left click. So when you right click, you'll get this menu, and our major point task is to delete the column. So we select delete column. When you click on delete column, the other column which was here has now been deleted. Secondly, it is also possible to delete the row, and to do that, this time round we shall move our pointer to the margin so that we select this empty row. So we move, then left click once. So when you left click once, we see the whole row is selected. Now make sure your pointer is inside the selected row, then we right click. When you right click, now this time we are also going to delete the row, so we select delete row. When you click on delete row, the row is now deleted, and also the other column is deleted. That's how we can delete rows and columns. Now that we have learned how to delete the columns and rows, let's also see whether it is possible to add the rows and columns. To begin, we would like to see how we can add a column in a table. Now we would like to add a column between this column name and age. So we are going to click inside this cell for age. So after clicking, we shall right click. So when we right click, we shall go to this option for insert. So when you point at that option for insert, there is these other options. Now from here you will select where you want the column to go. Since we are putting it between name and age, that means our selection is also age. That means we are going to say we want that column to be inserted to the left. So we click insert column to the left. When you click on insert column to the left, then we have this column inserted. By default, it is highlighted with a blue background, but now you can go ahead and click inside. When you click inside, you deactivate the other selection. Now we are calling it the address column, so we say address. That's how we can insert the column. Also, it is possible to insert a row in a table. Maybe we would like to insert a row just below John. We can either click inside the row for Ruth or John. So let's click in John. When we click, we shall also right click. So when we right click, we shall go back to this option for insert. Now that we are dealing with the rows, we shall use these two options, but we shall select only one. We said we want our row to be below John, so we shall go to this option for insert rows below. So we click on it. So when we click, a row is also inserted just below John. We click inside to deactivate the selection. And let's assume this one was for Peter. So we type Peter. That's how we do it with inserting of the rows and then inserting of the columns. Now we would like to give our table a title, and to do that we need a row just above this row. To do that, we shall click on this column for name, then we right click, then this time round we shall go to insert. Since we need a row above, we shall say insert rows above. We click on it. So when we click on it, a row is inserted just above. So to deactivate this selection, click on this first column. From this column, we are going now to type the heading. And our heading is student detail. After typing student's detail, you can see this name is supposed to cut across all of these other columns, but it is only under this side of the name. So what do? We need to do what we call merging, and merging means combining of cells. And this time we have these 1, 2, 3, 4 cells that we need to combine. To do that, we shall select the entire row. We click under this first column, then do not release the mouse button. Move your cursor to all the remaining cells. Then you release the mouse button. Then after, we shall right click. When you right click, we shall go to this option for merge cells, because we would like to combine those selected cells to come up with only one. So we click on merge cells. When we click on merge cells, we can see we have now only one cell. We can click inside to deactivate this selection. So we have one cell after we have clicked on merge cell option. Now that we have completed merging of our cells, we would like to see that this title or this heading is centered. To do that, we can either select the entire cell or just leave our cursor in that cell. Then from there, to align this text to the center, we shall use the layout option. So we click layout tab. From the layout tab, we shall use this alignment group, but let's use this option for align center. So we click once. So when we click once, you can see now the text in this cell has been pushed to the center and it is highlighted automatically. You can click inside to deactivate the selection. Then these alignment tools can also be got from the home tab, just as we saw in the previous tutorials. We have been talking about inserting rows and columns and also deleting them. All those options are just on this layout tab, so you can use them as well if you want to use them. When we are dealing with the tables, we can also remove these borders, and to do that, we shall first select the entire table. We either use this feature that we are seeing, so we click on it to select the entire table. Then after, we shall be on the design tab. Then this time round we go to this option for borders, but we shall click on this arrow pointing down. Then to remove the borders, we shall go to this option for no border. We click on it once. When we click on it once, you can see the changes on our table. To view it clearly, let's click inside the document. So when you have no borders, this is how your table will look like. That means to take back this table or to give our table borders, we have to select it once again. To do that, we use this feature click once to select. After clicking, the design tab is once again activated. Then we go back to border option, but use this arrow. We call it the more arrow. Click. Then we shall give our table border, and that is the option for all borders. So we click once. When we click, the table will get the borders as previously. To view it clearly, let's click inside the table. So that is how we can remove and add borders to our table. Maybe you want to give this heading or this title a different color, so we can click inside that cell. Then we go still under the design tab. We shall look for shading. We click on the arrow. Then these colors can be used to be assigned to that area. So maybe if you want green, you select on the green color. When you select, then the whole cell will be given the green color that you commanded. So now we can also decide to make this text or format this text as much as we can. For example, we can make our title bold. So we select our heading. Then we shall go to the home tab. We click on it and we make it bold by clicking on this option. So when we click on the option for bold, now the heading is bold. If you click inside to see, you see now it is bold. We can do all other formatting options from the home tab as long as you want it. Now let us also look at table styles. Table styles can be got from the design tab. We click on design tab. From the design tab, we have these options. These are the ones we are calling the table styles. So with the table styles, we can try to have a live preview by going to these tiles here. So as you're pointing on these different table styles, you can see a live preview on your table. So let's select this option as our table style. We click once. So when you click once, this style or the table style affects the selected table. And also you have to note that all the formatting that you have done before will be overwritten by the table style that you have selected. For instance, you can realize that here we had a green color under this column or under our title, but now it has been overwritten. So that is what the table style will do to the selected table. So with tables, you have seen we have got a lot of functions and features that we have not explained, but I encourage you to go ahead and try out as many styles as possible. For instance, like here we did not do anything, but you can click and try to find out what is here. If I click on it, oh, I have a pencil. If I click on my table, what will happen? You can see we have a different thing that has come to our table. Now, if you feel you don't want or you are not comfortable with it, we can always use this undo button and you remove it. Even when you don't want this table or this feature, like now we are seeing a pencil, we can use the escape key on the keyboard to deactivate it. But I encourage you to make sure you try as many options as possible so that you learn more from tables. And that's it for now. See you in our next tutorial.